Howdy and welcome back to the channel. This is Matthew Pizgatti. Today we're talking about the stake protocol, the stake ROI token that can give you about 3% or up to 3% return a day. It's a DeFi crypto token on the Binance Smart Chain. And if you saw my shorter video on this, my shorter overview, this is going to be the long version. So we'll try to cover some of the basics right out of the gate, and then I'm going to actually cover every page of the white paper in more depth than I had previously, and we're going to talk about more ways that this is awesome, why I like it, any reasons I don't like it, how it's similar to other protocols, and the like. So let's just kick it off here. First off, if you're familiar with any of the other DeFi crypto tokens that are similar, one that'll probably come to mind is DRIP. If you're familiar with DRIP, it works in a similar way. It's also even called the Faucet, similar to the way that DRIP is. So let me pull up DRIP real quick while we're on the topic. Now, the DRIP Faucet is similar in a way because in the Faucet, on the DRIP side, you're getting 1% a day. You put in a certain amount of DRIP, you get 1% per day that you can then hydrate, compound back into the system, or if you like, you can claim it and then sell it, do whatever you'd like with your DRIP. So Stake Protocol has a Faucet, which is similar in a way because you are getting 1% per day. Now, I see that the homepage does say 365 days. This is usually a simpler way to state this for people, although it's actually up to a maximum cap, where the cap actually increases the more that if you decided to deposit more or if you decided to compound. So the more that you compound back into the system, it's actually percentage based, not number of days based. And I noticed a lot of people made that mistake early on with DRIP. They kept saying 365 days, which is the case if you do not compound and you just wanted to claim your 1% every single day, which you could by all means do. Maybe not the best strategy for long-term wealth or income growth if that's your goal, but it is the way to, of course, quickly ROI and get your profit out of there if you have any qualms about being in a kind of a new protocol or system. So you get your 1% a day, which is similar to DRIP in that way that you put in an amount, you get 1% a day, you can compound, do whatever you want with it. One thing that makes this unique, and there's a few things that make this protocol unique, which I want to cover, is that you can also get up to 2% a day with this rebase system. Every 30 minutes, they are rebasing back into, or making a rebase amount available in your faucet. And so you can compound either one, or you could claim either one. So you actually have two little pools that you could pull from. And here's a view of my faucet on the back end here. And we're going to cover what these different terms mean, but they actually already show you a relative easy to follow definition here. So your net faucet value, your gross faucet value, which is of course GFV that you see up here, which is actually this net faucet value plus your rebase compounds. So, and the reason this doesn't say also faucet compounds is that those already go into your faucet value. Deposits, rolls, which are your compounds, and then airdrops received as well are all part of the net. And you can see I have some available here, so I'll click these buttons in a moment when we get to that. And then you have this nerd indicator, which we're also going to go over a little further. Now, this indicator is also a unique perspective or a unique feature of stake in that up to 2% rebase reward that you can receive is based on where this falls. So you can see here anywhere from 0 to negative 33%, you get a reduction. And then if you're under negative 33% on this little, that's somewhere in the orange here, it looks like, you get 0% rebase rewards. So that's something to take into account. So what are they doing with that, by the way? For one, with that extra 2% that you could receive, they're making the whole protocol more attractive. Obviously, they're trying to compete with others, whether they say that or not. They want to compete, so they want a more attractive percentage per day that you could be receiving. So they bumped that up to 3%, which is attractive. We've seen that with the DRIP Garden and others that that up to 3% is an attractive rate. It's more than the standard 1% from something like DRIP Faucet. So they're trying to make that more attractive. But then they've also added in this nerd here, this indicator, that takes into account how often you're compounding. How often you're compounding versus claiming. Are you depositing anything else into the system? Are you dollar cost averaging in? What are you doing? Because if you're taking a lot of positive actions in the system, they want to reward that with the up to 2%. But then it discourages people from being bad actors. Obviously, you can be. I mean, you can use this just like the DRIP Faucet. You could ignore the 2%. You could throw in a large amount, you could pull out your 1% a day and still be a bad actor in the system, but you're not going to get that extra 2%, and your regular cells of your tokens are actually going to contribute to the overall health of the system, because obviously there's taxes and fees associated with each buy and sell. And by the way, if you're new to a lot of this, that's something to touch on, is that any of these ROI type tokens, these protocols, you might be asking, well, how is that sustainable? How can they pay that out over a certain time period? And a lot of that does come back to the taxes and fees. I'm saying those as separate words. They're essentially the same, but these protocols use those terms, taxes or fees. When you buy or sell or take action in the system, there's often a percentage that is taken and then put back into some type of vault or treasury, whatever they call it, that does help pay out or do buybacks and things like that, which, things that help stabilize the price or add liquidity to the system, things that do make it more sustainable. So in addition, there is a downline tab, which is your referrals. And just to cover that briefly, there is the main stake token. That's the main token that you're putting into the faucet and getting your rebase and your compounding. And then there is a flame token, and the flame token determines how many downlines you can have. So you can see I have 15 referrals under me here, and so I only have one downline because none of these referrals have referred anyone else yet. If they do, this number will climb, and the more flame that you have, the greater number of lines down you can actually get kickbacks from, at kind of a round robin type effect. They did add this airdrop feature so that I can airdrop to my referrals, which is great. Until they add this team viewer section, which they added this just a few days after launching, or maybe about a week after launching. So as soon as they get this added in, hopefully soon, I'll be able to pick team members and airdrop stake to them. So I think that covers most of the main features of the site. I think we're going to walk through the white paper one by one. And again, this is going to be a long video, so go watch my quicker overview if you want that. I recommend doing your own research, reading through the white paper, see what you think about it. Once again, before we dive in, this is not financial advice for you. I use this channel to document my journey through all the crypto space, show you what I'm investing in, what I think about it, give my opinion on it, and then try to be a little informative for those who are not as experienced. And then sometimes I even have to ask questions from the community, because obviously we're all learning, right? I ask a lot in the Telegram chats. By the way, if you need any assistance in the Telegram on that side of things, my Telegram group is linked in the description of any of my videos. Hop down there to the bottom and join in if you have any questions for me or anyone else who's in there. I think we're up to about 105, 110 people so far. And there's a lot of helpful individuals, and some that just, hang out. If you just want to hang out and read the updates and pinned posts and videos that I throw in there, that's cool too. Especially if you've been banned from any of the other Telegram chats, like if you're an Animal Farm or DRIP community, or any of those that have banned you for some reason, because that does happen, and sometimes it's hard to get added back in. You'll see me posting updates from those groups, so you can still stay in the loop. So a lot of reasons to join in and hop onto the little team we got going. All right, so without further ado, let us jump into the documents here. So this is the white paper for stake. And just to reiterate, this is going to be a longer video. I'm going to step through each of these points and then, add any thoughts that I have. So this is just kind of reiterating what is said on the front page, that you have the rebase system up to 2%, and then your core faucet returns daily 1%. And of course, they have their little spiel here about analyzing some of the biggest DeFi protocols, and they've identified key aspects that made these protocols successful. Now, when they're talking about that, I'm sure they're taking from a number of different protocols, not just DRIP, although DRIP was a big inspiration. I think they even admit that themselves. And it's also worth noting that DRIP itself has already been running over a year. And even though the price is down, I mean, all markets are down right now. They've taken a substantial dive from BNB to Bitcoin to everything. So we can't expect it. I mean, it's done really well for the market it's been in right now. But DRIP has been live over a year. It had its anniversary. That's really unheard of in the space, which shows that it does have some staying power. It does have longevity that you may not have expected from one of these DGen DeFi projects. So it has been incredibly successful. It had some all-time highs from all the way down. It was like $6 something to start with, all the way up to 180, 175, somewhere in that range, which is pretty impressive. I got in about 130 or so, and I've dollar cost average down. But that aside, it's been very successful. And so if they've taken a lot of those mechanisms and kind of incorporated them, that's positive. That could mean that at bare minimum we have some all-time highs to look forward to if this catches on, which it looks like it is, and at least a year of longevity, which is cool to see. And DRIP is still going strong, by the way. And if DRIP and Stake add on other utilities, they'll continue to do so. And then let's see, they talk about high yield reward protocols aspire to be bulletproof, but of course, due to human nature, early investors inevitably dump into incoming buys from new investors. This forces the price down and discourages new investors from entering the system at all, and it continues the price downtrend. So Stake protocol utilizes key aspects from successful protocols, including transaction fees, daily Faucet, high frequency rebase, Treasury farming, reservoir liquidity building, price floor protection, team-based referral program with airdrops, there's a whale tax, there's a capped amount of returns, and frequent burns. And it says where Stake excels is by introducing that NERD, the net elastic rebase depletion. Those who abuse the ecosystem, constantly dumping, actually result in a net positive for the community and ensure a smooth flow of returns for new and early investors. So we're going to talk about how all that works as well. And here's just a brief overview of their values: sustainability, high yield, they're team driven, and then multiple use cases. They really want to promote building teams. That's how a lot of these projects grow. We saw that with DRIP. Some people have thousands of team members on DRIP. High yield, sustainability, all the things that we want to see. And of course, use cases. Now, those are usually in the future. Usually it takes the devs of these projects a little bit to get to those, but we hope those roll out. Now, I'm not going to cover this team page very much just because I am not super familiar with any of these individuals. I will touch on that there were some rumors around this Sifu being the same as some other protocol that had some issues. And I will say that I've seen no connection to actually substantiate any of that. There's been no evidence to lean towards that direction. And it is worth noting that this is a title of sorts, and that Forex Shark on DRIP has used that as his Telegram handle previously as a title. And so, if anything, it just indicates they watch too much anime or wherever this comes from. But it could be any number of people who are using this title because they like it. It's like saying guru or master or something. So it's, they just list some of their successful projects, Dust and others I'm not familiar with. Master Blaster's behind a gamified protocol, BitCrush. I don't know a lot about it. Semi Invader worked with both Sifu and Master Blaster on many projects. And then Crypto King here, involved with many projects, including Pink Sale, which is a pretty big name in the space. So here's some official channels in the white paper. If you want to hop into the Telegram, I recommend it. There's an announcement one as well. Reddit doesn't seem to have much going on. Doesn't seem like they've posted anything there. Let me check the Twitter real quick and see if there's anything. Yeah, it looks like they are posting regularly here, which is good. Well, semi-regularly. The Telegram is much more active, so that's where I would go for a lot of these things. This was about the public sale date. We're already past that. It's already live. Now, here's some of those important terms that we'll cover real quick. So net faucet value, that earns 1%. Your net faucet value is all of your deposits plus any airdrops to your wallet in the system plus compounds. So they're also calling it rolls on that one page. Good to know. Now, gross faucet value, your GFV, can earn up to that additional 2% on your gross faucet value from the nerd. That is the NFV above, so deposits, airdrops, compounds, plus any rebase compounds. So the rebase compounds added into this number here is going to give you your gross faucet value. So net faucet value is what you'd expect. Gross faucet value is the addition of rebase compounding. Now your gross claimed is the total claimed tokens from both faucet and rebase. So if I hop over to stake, if I were to click claim, that's going to go into that number. And it shows you how much is total claimable right now on my page, on your faucet. So total claim tokens, both faucet and rebase. Gross claimed equals your faucet claims plus your rebase claims. That's pretty easy. Net deposit is the difference between your net deposit is the difference between your net faucet value and your gross claimed. Yeah, so you're going to take this number, which is your deposits, airdrops, compounds, subtract it from your total claims, and that'll give you your net deposits. Now, there is a max payout, and that capped payout is your gross claimed, so all of your faucet claims plus your rebase claims, plus the total available rewards, and then 10% of the total supply. So that capped payout can't exceed whatever this is, whatever this equation here is, can't exceed 10% of the total supply. And then of all the tokens. And your max payout, so that's your cap payout, but then you also have a max payout of NFV. So that's your deposits, airdrops, and compounds, which it reiterates here, times 365%, multiplied by 365%. So this comes back to what I was saying about it being in days. It's actually a percentage base. So all of that multiplied by 365%, not to exceed 10% of the total supply. So those are some general terms throughout here. We may have to reference back to them in a moment. And then those are the max payouts. And before I get too much further in here, I'm already about 17 minutes in, I know. I do want to let you know that obviously with all of this information that I'm providing and telling you about this protocol that I really like so far, I like to see where it's going. I'm excited for it. I am building a team here. You can join the Pizgatti crew team on stake. I'll have my referral link in the description as always, but the easiest way is just to hop over here. You click Get Started. It will instruct you how to buy the stake protocol. I also have a video, I think, on buying Flame. I may have one for buying stake as well. And then, you'll be on my team after that. So we gotta, and then obviously, if you have friends or family that you want to join in, or want to refer, we can build this downline, and every one of you guys that becomes leaders also adds in, some points here for me to level up, which I appreciate. And we'll build this little team together. And, once they unlock this team viewer, I'll be able to start picking random people at least once a month, maybe more often, and, airdropping to you guys, rewarding just for being part of the team. But we'll also cover in the white paper how just being part of a team that is a team leader, which is someone that has more than 5 referrals, which I'm up to 15, so that counts for me. You do actually get a little bit more of a kickback. So even though this protocol has some higher fees and to make it a little more lasting, to increase the amount of time that this whole thing's going to run, they do have a little bit higher fees, but you get some kickbacks on that just by being on my team. And there's some other ways to kind of reduce or negate some of those fees as well. So we'll talk about that in the white paper here once we hop back in. So the next page we are covering is the NERD, which stands for Net Elastic Rebase Depletion. So the Net Elastic Rebase Depletion, you can see their overview here. It tracks your net deposits, and let's just check back. That is net faucet value minus gross claimed. So it tracks your net deposits are at a positive, meaning you're not over dumping, and then gradually applies a negative rebase on the GFV on our gross faucet value, which is the net faucet value plus rebase compounds, to make up for undesired behavior. If your net deposit is positive, that means you've deposited, compound, and have been airdropped more than you claimed, you'll continue to receive your positive rebase at 100%. If your ND goes negative, if your net deposit goes negative, your rebase rewards reduce, and they can negatively affect your GFE. But it does make sure to reiterate here that your NFE, your deposits, will never be touched. So worst case, you can always get 1%, just like DRIP. So your deposits, compounds, airdrops, you'll get 1% on that. But your rebase rewards become non-existent if your behavior is not adjusted. So if you're just claiming to sell off, and you're not compounding more than that, then you'll not get that extra 2%, or you'll get a reduced amount. It does say note that gross faucet value compounds are counted in your, what is GC again? In your gross claimed, yes. Are counted in your gross claimed, which affects your capped payout, but not your net deposits. So this means that compounding your net faucet value, so compounding your faucet, always increases your net deposits, while compounding your gross. What was the GFE again? Now see, that's why I have to keep coming back. They may have mixed that up. I don't think it's GFE. They meant gross faucet value. So compounding your gross faucet value has a neutral effect and does not affect your net deposits. Yeah. So this is due to the fact that Nerd can reduce your gross faucet value, so therefore is not in fact an increase, but instead a current metric of which to reward. But if you claim either one, they count against your net deposits equally. And it just says keep an eye on the gauge to assess the current state of your Nerd. Now it is good to realize here as well, and they've mentioned this in the Telegram groups, this is not ever going to be at 100% just due to the nature of the system. So you're going to see, this fluctuate here depending on how you're acting in the system. But, anywhere over 0% is still positive. So as long as it's positive, you're still taking more positive action than negative in the system, which is great to see. And they want to see that to keep this going as long as it can. And you get up to that 2% extra, which is really awesome. So yeah, just to punish those dumping without regard by adding that offender's rebase to the rewards pool to continue paying out the positive players. So this is important here as well, is that those bad actors in the system, we can call them, or ones that are not taking as much positive activity, they're actually going to take the rebase they would have gotten and send it to the rewards pool to continue paying out positive players. So that isn't just being returned back to the system to do nothing or make someone money. It actually goes back into the system to pay those of us out who are acting with more integrity in the system. So as long as your ND, your net deposit, is above 0, you'll continue to earn the full 2%. 0 to negative 33%, you decline from 100% to 0. And should you dump further, your accumulated gross faucet value will begin to decline to the point at which is equal to your net faucet value, the lowest it can go. So to earn rewards again, you would need to deposit new into the system, or compound until your net deposit goes back above negative 33%. And once you're back above 0, you'll get to the full 2% a day again. So they're saying as people dump, this actually has a net positive on the ecosystem as less tokens will be minted over time. So that's something, that's one of the positives about that system, and something that a protocol like DRIP does not currently have. So this is something unique to stake. So the stake faucet, this is about the faucet specifically, which is just, you get that 1% a day. You do lock your funds in there. You can't get those back out, but you can get your 1% a day up to the maximum. You can compound your balance daily to increase and extend your earnings indefinitely, or until max payout is reached. And of course, they're saying here it gives you access to up to 3% daily returns. Deposits, compounding, claiming, and airdrops all have an effect on your net deposit, which in turn affects your Nerd. And every one stake compounded or deposit will extend your max payout by 3.65 stake. This is because of that 365%. Now remember, that's not in dollars. That's 365% based on the stake you have. So when we're talking about 3%, you get 3% of the stake. token. And I think it's always important to make that clarification or specification, because that's how we'll often say price doesn't matter. It really doesn't at the time of all of this, all the compounding, and let's say your prices drop 15%, 20%, 30%. Well, you're still getting 365% maximum on the amount that you staked. So the price matters a lot less than it normally would. These are long-term type systems that are meant to reward long-term compounding, long-term dedication, I would say, to the system and belief in the protocol. So the price matters, but we're talking about 1% of a drip a day, or 1% of a stake per day, or of your deposits, of the amount you have in here that you can get 1% on. So the price does matter at the time. If you decided to sell and take some profits, whenever you decide to claim and sell, sure, the price matters at that point. But during the long many months when you're compounding and maybe you're claiming here and there, the price doesn't matter as much as it would at that end point. So that's why you'll hear people say that in a lot of these protocols, price doesn't matter, and that's what they mean. So here's a little explanation about why the reward is sustainable. Now, one is the fees. They use fees from almost any transaction to seed the reward pool and increase sustainability long term. And then we talked about the nerd, but the rebase depletion, so someone who doesn't get as much rebase due to their actions, that also goes to the reward pool. And so it takes a negative situation like dumping and turns it into a positive long-term sustainability protocol. They would have already given those rebase rewards to that individual. Instead, it goes back to the pool for those who are acting positive in the system to reward them for continuing to compound and keep the system going. And then, of course, whale fees. As claims grow, increased whales fees are added, which then go directly to the reward pool to, again, extend sustainability. So that just means, usually it's based on what percentage of the pool you have of the total supply, or what you're claiming. If it's a large amount, there's a whale fee to kind of just add to that sustainability. And that helps the smaller players as well. We're not all 200,000 stakeholders or something like that. Here's a little more information about the rebase. They want to make sure that just holding stake does not reward you with a rebase. You do need to stake it. So they want to clarify that, I'm sure, because of protocols like Seifu, where you do just hold it. You just hold it in your wallet and you get rebases. That new Titan is like that too. So you get that 1% per day for 365 days. I really wish they wouldn't use that terminology, but I get how it's easier in some situations to explain that in that way. You get that that 1%, and then that up to 2% on your total staked funds, called your gross Faucet value. Rewards both on Faucet and Rebase can be claimed at any time. Now, here's an interesting note as well. Unlike other protocols, rebasing doesn't expand supply every 30 minutes. It utilizes the nerd to assess the reward pool liability and only mints new tokens as needed, keeping the supply as low as possible. Here's some more information about definitions. Reminder to always keep an eye on your nerd. Rebase rewards can be reduced and even deplete your gross Faucet value if you engage in less than desirable dumping. So, good to know. So here's putting it all together. We'll kind of step through this example that they've given. So for now, they're just going to use the dollar amount equivalent of stake for this example. Deposits and claims, however, will in fact be done in stake. So they're just using dollar amounts to make it easy. So for their little exercise here or scenario, they're saying, assume you deposit $1,000 in the stake Faucet. So after the first day, you receive 1% on your NFV, which is our net Faucet value. So that'll be $10. That's 1,000 times the 1%. So you get your extra $10. So this alone would recoup your initial investment in just over 3 months without compounding, leaving almost 9 months worth of pure profit. So of course they're saying here in 100 days, you would have 1% per day. You'd have 100% that you could have claimed or compounded back in, but that would have been ROI. If you had claimed every day for 100 days, which you don't want to do because it affects that extra 2% you could be getting, they just want you to understand that in just over 3 months you could have your full amount back. So that's interesting, right? Now, of course, if we're compounding compound interest, we're going to multiply that, and we're going to get we're going to get a greater amount quicker, and we could, even though we could have ROI'd quicker, we're going to have a greater amount in the long term if we keep compounding back into the system. So additionally, you receive 2% on your gross faucet value. The scenario here is explaining. And that gives you an additional $20 to claim in this scenario with the $1,000. Because that's 1,000 versus 2%, or times 2%, right? So this makes a grand total on day one of $30. This means you could recoup your full investment in just over 30 days without compounding. So if you didn't compound at all, 30 days, you'd have your ROI. So that makes this, even a little more attractive than, say, something like DRIP. Not hating on DRIP, by the way. I still invest in DRIP and like where it's going and want it to continue to be strong. They've got a great community there, which is why I keep making videos on it as well. I want that to keep going, so no hating on DRIP. But some of these extra little tidbits they're adding into stake are attractive, and those are probably my two main right now is DRIP and stake that I have the most faith in for longevity. Even though I haven't seen stake as long, I don't know the devs. I can't say any of that for certain, but I do have some faith in it already. Just looking at these features and how the community's been growing. So back to this scenario. They say now let's look at how compounding once daily would alter this. So you can compound more than once a day, but this scenario is if you were compounding once per day only. So after day one, you compound both Faucet and Rebase rewards. Now your net faucet value is 1,010, while your gross faucet value is 1,030. So on day two, you're going to earn $10.10 from the faucet. That's your 1%. And $20.60 from Rebase. So you can see we've already grown 70 cents on that next day because now we've compounded for a total of $30.70. So your net faucet value is now $1,020.10. Your gross faucet value is now $1,060. It's that total amount. So this is compared to, say, $1,020.1. If you invested $1,000 in faucet projects, which I'm guessing they're kind of referencing DRIP there, or $1,040.40 if you invested in the same in this type of Rebase protocol. And you can claim those rewards or continue to compound and grow. And of course, if you've looked at any type of compound interest calculator, that stacks up very quickly, that 3%. So it says, let's assume on day 3, you claimed rewards to take profit. Nothing wrong with that. So you earn $10.20 from the faucet, $21.21 from Rebase. If you claim the full $31.41, your gross claimed would be $51.51. Because remember, compounds count as a claim; they just don't negatively affect your net deposits. They don't affect your They don't affect your nerd, and they wouldn't affect your. But the main thing here, I'm sorry, I'm stumbling over my words a little bit, but compounds do count as a claim, but because they're going back into the system, they actually increase your max payout. But they are labeling it here as part of your net deposits, and we're gonna see that here. Yeah, net deposit is still your net faucet value minus your gross claimed, and gross claimed is any claims from the faucet or the Rebase. So it does count as a claim to affect your net deposit. So this means you've compounded $20.10 from net faucet value, meaning your net deposit is $1,020.10. But have now claimed $31.41, which brings your ND, your net deposit, down to $988.69. Still very positive. You could do this daily for another 19 days, or you could do the smart thing and continue to compound and build up your ND. So the more you compound now, the more you can claim later with no worries. However, once your net deposits go below zero, the nerd kicks in and your rebase rewards decline. So they're really trying to encourage here, you want to compound more than you're claiming. And, if you're doing something, there's all types of strategies, and you'll have to find what makes sense for you. But, generally, if you could say if you have enough coming in, you could compound for a few months and then start claiming maybe once per week. Some people do it every couple weeks. It completely depends on how much you put in the system, how much you're getting back, how much if you have a passive income goal, or if you're going to compound for a year and then try to, so there's all these different strategies. And this is going to be a little bit different than DRIP as far as strategies go. So we're going to have to kind of rework those and, think about, look at the calculators, think about what is ideal, what is opportune to get the most amount in the shortest amount of time, or what's most opportune to get the most amount with the longest time frame. So we need to revisit all that from the DRIP age, because this protocol has different features. So this is just telling you, again, if you continue to dump past negative 33%, and how that's penalized. And they said Nerd Protocol combined with other existing features is how we maintain sustainability where others have failed. Now this next page, the POL, Protocol Owned Liquidity. Now this is not live yet, but their description here is that this is for high yield protocols. Protocol Owned Liquidity is a crucial part in maintaining a healthy ecosystem. They say, due to our raise on Pink Sale, 51% of the funds raised goes to PancakeSwap liquidity, and then we'll be locking up a portion in our own protocol-owned liquidity. So one of the benefits of POL is it allows us to properly distribute fees accordingly without first having to swap stake for BNB before sending to liquidity reserve, etc. So they have some swaps they have to go through normally and not in the POL, which is why the fees will actually be lower when they have this live from their own website. And this is similar to, if you're familiar, again, I'm going to compare with DRIP. DRIP has its own native DEX here, the swap page, and so the price is always a little different on this page, but you pay a lower, you don't pay as much taxes as you would, you don't pay as many fees without, if you were going on PancakeSwap or somewhere similar. So for stake, you're only going to pay a 3% fee on their native DEX, as opposed to a 13% fee on PancakeSwap. So that's a big difference. Now, universally, no matter where you are, you're getting an 18% fee on sales. It says the POL allows us to receive the fee in BNB as needed without having to swap stake. So it's just always a good idea to use protocol-owned liquidity. So it helps the ecosystem. You have a lower fee, 3% versus 13%. That's a 10% reduction. So it's all good. It's all positive. Once this goes live, that'll be the way to buy. Right now, you're buying on PancakeSwap for that increased fee. And they're saying users can add to the pool and stake liquidity by adding BNB, and there's a 10% fee for adding and withdrawing liquidity. So again, that does kind of sound like that'll be like the reservoir. I don't know if they're calling it the same, but the reservoir on DRIP, you can deposit BNB, and you actually get BNB rewards just for adding that extra liquidity to the system. And by doing that, you help solidify the price. You help make better floor price for DRIP. And a lot of people have gotten into this over the last few months. It's been I apologize, I can speak. It's been gaining in popularity recently, which is good. People have been talking about it, and that's probably a reason that we've seen not such a drastic drop. We've seen pretty horizontal movement overall, even over a longer time period with DRIP, sticking in this range where it might have been dropping normally, because I think people have been adding to that reservoir and know that it helps the system. Okay, and then we're going to hop over to fees. Now this is kind of a nice little chart to look at. You might want to study this a bit, and it just shows you where all the fees are going, how they all come back to the reservoir and the Treasury, and how all that relates to you in the Faucet. So you might want to study that a little bit. And then here's a better breakdown. So for stake, any buys, we talked about 3%, and it all goes to the Treasury. And then from the DEX, you get 5% to rewards, pools, and referrals, 5% to the POL, the protocol-owned liquidity, 3% to the Treasury. And then sales are going to be 18%. So you're going to get 5% to the rewards pool, 5% goes to the POL, and 8% to the Treasury. Transfers, you're going to see 10% to the rewards pool. Deposits are going to be 10% to the rewards pool and referrals. And comps could be, and to referrals. So when you deposit, if your uplines should get a little bit kickback. Compounds, you get 5% to the rewards pool and referrals. And then claims, 10% to the rewards pool. And then POL deposits and withdrawals are 10%. So 2% goes to the POL stakers. That is if you stake in their reservoir type system. And then 3% goes to POL, 5% rewards pool. So this is, again, yeah, very similar to the reservoir where you're helping add liquidity to the system, but you are going to get a kickback from those transaction fees. So here's the whales tax. I imagine this is based on what percentage of the entire supply or percentage of the protocol that you essentially are holding. So if you're holding over 10%, you're going to get a 50% tax on top of your normal claim percentage. If you hold 1%, you're going to get an extra 5%. So this is just adding sustainability to the system for those big whales, so they can't hold half of the protocol and then start dumping on it without some type of penalty. So it's going to be a positive for the community if someone who's holding, say, 10%, does start doing the claim. Well, an extra 50% of those claims go back to the community anyway. So this is encouraging less giant whales, I think, and more of a spread across multiple people, which helps the price volatility not be so ridiculous. And then we'll talk about Flame on the next page because it refers to referrals, but there is a 2% on Flame, so not as high of a fee as on the stake token, but still some fees in there to keep the protocol going. So here's a page regarding referrals, and as they say, one of the best ways to grow a protocol like this is through the use of referrals in team building. And they said we've looked at and borrowed methodology from existing protocols in the space, but they've added a few twists of their own. So of course they're looking at DRIP and others that do have a referral system. So to participate, you add an address of a friend or team leader to get started, and the minimum right now is 10 stake to get started. So for every referral you do sign up, you get a 10% bonus on deposits and compounds every time from that user. So any of you guys who sign up under me, I get that 10% bonus on your deposits and compounds. Anyone that you sign up also as a downline, you'll get 10% from those users. And if you sign up under a team leader, someone who has 5 direct referrals, this is what I was mentioning earlier, you actually earn an additional 2.5% back on your own deposits and compounds. So you get a little kickback there, which I think helps with some of these fees that we were talking about. So that encourages you to join under someone who's actively building a team rather than just individuals. And for those of you who want your friends or family, whoever you're referring, or maybe you're writing articles, you're making videos, you want to get at least 5 direct referrals, because then everyone on your team at that point gets that 2.5% back on your own compounds and deposits. So after seeing the success in other products, they say they're utilizing the round robin system. DRIP does have something like this, I remember. So the deposit bonuses will be paid a 10% bonus after the taxes for deposits and compounds up to 15 levels from the downline, depending on how many flame you hold in your wallet. So they're going to kind of round robin that. It's not going to be everyone up the chain. That wouldn't be very sustainable. So it kind of picks someone along the way. If it's a player's turn to receive a reward and they don't hold enough flame for the downline, or their nerd is negative, then the turn skips them and lands on the next qualified person. So if your nerd is negative, that's a big thing as well for you team leads who want to form a team. If your nerd is negative, your turn actually gets skipped as well. So that's why I want to keep mine positive if I'm building a team. Good old Pizgatti crew, we're gonna rock it and roll it, see if we can become one of the bigger teams. Just depends on how many referrals we can get. We're not too far behind some of the other big players, but yeah, that's exciting. And I'm excited for you guys if you try to write a few articles, make a video, just tell your friends and family if you're excited and want to recommend this to them. That's how these protocols grow and keep going. And I see it exploding, by the way, from the numbers already. And this is only like a week and a half launched. So you do have to hold flame in your wallet, and your nerd cannot be negative. A portion of referrals go to seed the lottery every day. So the lottery isn't live yet. They're going to roll that out. But a portion of referral amounts go to the lottery. As the round robins deposits move up the line, once they hit the dev wallet in the round robin, that referral bonus gets sent to the lottery before the round starts back over. So this is going to dramatically increase the lottery bankroll and burn rate daily. So that's awesome. We're going to talk about that in a moment. And you are able to change team leads, it sounds like, one time. So if you don't think they airdrop often enough, or you just don't like them for some reason, you'll have a 10% of all bonus and airdrops you've received, or 50 stake, whichever is the lesser amount. So you will have to pay that, and the fee will go directly to the rewards pool. Now, they don't have that feature enabled yet. I haven't seen it. I don't know if you're supposed to DM someone in the Telegram group or how you would get that switched. I imagine they'll add it as a feature later on, but at the moment, I don't see it in the stake protocol. I'm just glancing again, but I don't see anywhere that you could change your upline. I think mine is DRIP tips right now, by the way. This is a note on flame, and so here is the kind of breakdown. They always do looks like there's like a Fibonacci sequence. But so if you have 2, you get 1 downline. If you have 3, you get 2 downlines, so on and so forth. And that determines how many downlines you could have where you could benefit from a round robin going up the chain for referral rewards. I'm holding about 8.4 flame, so I'll be able to have 4 downlines right now. I'd have to buy more flame if I wanted more than that. But right now, no one below me even has a referral, so I'm not too worried about it. Although I may buy more stake just because, or I'm sorry, more flame just because. If you look at something like DRIP and what happened to like BREAP, BREAP was the one you have to hold for DRIP to be able to get referrals. If I could find the BREAP chart, that's what I was looking for. And again, everything in the system right now is dropped. Everything in the system is lower right now because, or not system, I'm sorry, all the markets are having trouble right now. I mean, this is a low point. This is a bear, so to speak. But yeah, you can see BREAP at some point had climbed up to pretty good heights, and it had been holding over 100 for a while now. I think it's dropped now. It's getting really, really good prices. And again, if you have faith in DRIP, this is one of those times, buying more BREAP when people start building teams again and DRIP starts going on the rise again. You might see this easy raise of $100, $80, whatever the increase is from where it drops down to. So, not the worst case to maybe stack up on a few BREAP. And I'm also thinking about stacking up stake just because I expect that it'll see similar price action if this ever gets as big as DRIP does, which I hope it does. Those would be like 2 giants in the system. I hope it climbs in a similar way. And that would make just holding extra flame, even if you didn't need that many, just holding it extra so you could sell some when the price went up would not be a horrible idea. You could even take those profits and then throw them back into your stake, right, or into DRIP Faucet or whatever you want to do with it. It's your money. Do what you want with it. But and now here's a page talking about the Treasury. And again, a number of these things are not live yet on the site. They do have menu links over here: King's Riches, Treasury, Foundation. King's Riches maybe the lottery. I'm not sure. Foundation is probably going to be like their reservoir type system. So these pages are not live yet, but they will be. They will be unlocked at some point. So we're talking about the Treasury on this page. It says it serves several purposes in the stake protocol ecosystem. And the primary purpose is to continue to control and grow the protocol. It just says grow. I don't know why I said control there. But yeah, continues to grow the protocol while protecting the price. So I guess it does help control the price somewhat. There are 3 main components to the Treasury, which is the reserve, and that's 45% of the Treasury funds. There's floor price protection, or the POL building, the protocol-owned liquidity building, that's 27%, and then a further 27% is for marketing and development. It says the reserve takes about 4 to 8 weeks to be properly set up and collect enough funds to be effective. So that's why it's not live yet, but it will be. And, that bodes well for the ecosystem as a whole. It sounds like that's something to look forward to when the Treasury goes live. The reserve's primary goal is to increase the profitability, and this is that reserve mentioned here. This is one of the components. Increase the profitability of the protocol as a whole so that they increase long-term sustainability and expansion into the DeFi space. So funds sent to the reserve will be used to farm stake in pools and invest in early stage projects. So they're going to actually invest and yield farm with the reserve funds, and the funds gained from the reserve then are used to further fund the treasury as a whole. So it's kind of a feedback loop, doing that yield farming, and that is another way that the protocol will try to be sustainable, right, rather than just running out of funds to pay. And then floor price protection. It says funds will begin to be captured and collected at launch as the protocol begins to work. And once things settle in approximately 4 to 8 weeks, they're going to announce the methodology and handling of the floor price protection, the value of the floor price, and any updates. And the floor price is established by looking at the FPP value, the floor price protection value, versus the value of circulating tokens. And then as the floor price protection builds and more tokens are staked in the faucet, the true floor price will emerge. And they say from there, they're going to deploy a smart contract to automatically buy back and burn stake to protect the floor price. So that's almost reminds me of like a peg type system where, one token is pegged to the price of another, something like EMP where they're pegged to Ethereum. They want to burn off some of the tokens to raise the price. And it sounds like the floor price protection is going to try to do that automatically. It's going to buy back stake with funds they have and then burn those tokens to increase the price and keep it, at least at the floor price, so we're not just bottoming out to zero randomly. And then marketing development, of course, those are going to be used for marketing and technical aspects of the protocol. Maybe that'll pay the devs a little bit. Maybe they'll do some marketing. They said we'll check out the Beyond page here to see the upcoming plans for that. So some more information about the tokenomics. Now we're past the pre-sale now, so some of this isn't as interesting. But basically they say they developed a system that allows stake to grow slow and controlled as opposed to other Rebase projects. So instead of increasing their supply every half hour, they say all rewards are paid out from the rewards pool. And once a threshold is crossed where the vaulted rewards dip below a 21-day anticipated payout, only then will the vault be rebased to increase supply. So they're also utilizing a global nerd percentage rather than just an individual, analyzing the values of 1 to 3% rewards on gross faucet value and net faucet value. And that allows them to maintain an accurate assumption as to when minting is necessary, as opposed to increasing the supply every half hour like other rebase protocols. Something like Seifu does that, and they apparently weren't burning enough or weren't doing something, because I saw that Seifu price tank while I held it. Some of you may still be holding some. That is up to you, but I haven't entered back in. So the minting threshold are as follows, and that just shows what percentage of the vault when minting will happen. But it sounds like they've got this worked out a lot better than some of the other rebase protocols, so that does make this interesting and is a different feature than DRIP operates. So there are some unique things here we're starting to see that set this apart from DRIP, even though it was obviously inspired and the base protocol is very similar. So this says the max supply that can ever be reached is 5 million, and although this is very high, and they doubt they'll reach that, should that day come, a global nerd will be set to 0, causing all rebase rewards to temporarily pause, and at that time, buyback and burns from the treasury, as well as burns from the lottery, will lower supply once again. And then once 25% has been burned, nerd will be reset, and everyone will get rebases again. So there is some protection built in if they get way out of hand and they have to start, they've got to hit this huge amount of tokens that shouldn't have been minted. They'll burn back and decrease the rebase until they're under, again, some manageable level. So that's good to see. That it's good to see that some of those protections are in place so the system just doesn't get out of hand. It says the total flame supply is 100,000. It's deflationary. Every buy and sell is a 4% tax. 2% goes to liquidity. 2% will be to buy back and burn flame. Now, the lottery is coming soon. They say they're launching one of the best lotteries in all DeFi, but everybody says that. There's going to be a graphic selection process, daily burning, partner token rewards, and a win-win-win gameplay system that allows you to win every time, even if you don't match any numbers. So I guess if you don't match, maybe you'll still get at least something back just for playing. And it says this is going to launch shortly after protocol launch. I don't know how shortly. I imagine that's being worked out. They probably have some other kinks they're working out after the go live. And it says the lottery is seeded constantly as referrals move up the line to the dev wallet. We read that earlier. So once fees hit the dev wallet in the upline, they're added to the lottery to continually increase that bankroll. So that'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see what type of amounts those, the lottery ends up getting up to. And it says, in addition to everything listed above, they're working on the following post-launch. So they're working on a more official audit. They already have one audit that I may have spoken about before, but they're working on some more name brand audits, trying to get trending on DEX tools, some of these other DEXs, and a fully functioning DEX, a native DEX probably. They mean like the swap page from DRIP. You want to be able to actually, that may be one of these. Maybe that's Foundation. We don't know until they go live, but besides Treasury, I don't know what these other two menu options are. So they're working on a few other things here: the burn lottery and a casino game. Now the game says BitCrush as a service. I imagine they'll be able to integrate that pretty easily, since Master Blaster is behind BitCrush. That makes sense that they'll be able to easily integrate that, and that won't be a hard transition for them. So that's good to see. I have some faith that'll actually launch based on that person being on the dev team and also having come from that system. So that covers the whole white paper. I said this was going to be a long video, and of course it was. At least I warned you ahead of time. I hope that was was helpful. So let's see. So we've talked about stake. We've gone through the whole white paper. Good to see that the price has been relatively. I'm trying to speak while I'm navigating here. Let me look at the DEX tools. Yeah, because the price has actually been pretty good. It rose from the first couple days when I was in there. I got in around 5. I got in a little more at 8. And obviously when it hit this point, you're gonna see these corrections a lot with any of these tokens as they're on the way up. I've seen some negativity about the drop, and I think they just don't understand how these tokens work, how markets work. There's always this correction, and one of the main reasons is that when you have such a rapid upswing, people get a little maybe fearful for missing out. They don't want to miss those profits. So, a lot of people saw this was getting popular. They may not have staked their tokens. They actually just bought, who knows, they bought 1,000 to hold on to. And then they saw this price increase from, who knows, maybe they got in the pre-sale and they wrote it from 70 cents up to 12 or 13. So it makes a lot of sense that they would dump a large amount. I mean, maybe it doesn't in the long run to you or I, especially if we don't have that much that we've thrown in. But I get it. They don't want to miss out on those profits that they could put back into DRIP or Avarice or any of these others that they're working on and putting funds into for a good return. That makes sense. That's why you always have these big corrections after a big jump. And you'll continue to see that. But I'm seeing some good trends established right here. We're holding around this 12.9 range. And if it's anything like DRIP, like I said, DRIP was $6, $7 and exploded all the way up to 170 somewhere within the first year of running. So if this does gain as much traction as something like DRIP, all of this, it's new, right? It's new. But all of this is still a good entry point because we don't know how high it can go. And if it works anything like DRIP, which we know a lot of the mechanisms are very similar, it's going to continue to climb. And that's what I'm excited to see. That's what I'm excited for. And if it moves in a similar direction, we're all going to be doing very well once we get up to that point. And I will add probably more funds to this as I add more to DRIP and everywhere else. I'm very diversified. I kind of just sprinkle dollars around to all of them, what little I can spare. So, all that being said, if you like the protocol, if it looks good to you, you've done your own research, and you decide to hop in, be glad to have you under the Pizgatti crew team. You should hop in the Telegram if you have any questions for me. If I can't answer them, I'll always try to direct you to someone more knowledgeable, or I'll go ask in the other relevant chats for you. You should also join the stake if they have a Discord. It looked like they did, but join the Telegram. Maybe follow them on Twitter. Look more into the project. See if it seems like anything you're interested in. Remember, you have to have 10 minimum to invest. So if you're trying to get in and it's not showing you a deposit on that first stake screen after you enter the referral and everything, that's because you haven't increased it up to 10, and you have to have at least 10 to do that. And right now you can only buy on PancakeSwap, as far as I know. So that's where you'll have to purchase it. If you're having any trouble purchasing, you'll have to increase your slippage. I bumped mine up quite a bit to like 15%. There's a settings button here. Now, someone did tell me to. I had a tip the other day to try to add like another decimal on my purchase price, and that sometimes that corrects it. They added like a 0.01 or something on the end of their purchase price, and that seemed to work for them. I hadn't tried that out, so take that with a grain of salt. I just increased my slippage, and that seemed to correct the buy issue for me. You do have to have a minimum of 10, like I said, to get in to start with, but then it looks like you can probably choose any amount to deposit after that, and they do not care. They do have a compound or a claim all button, which is very convenient. I'm going to go ahead and compound all like I have been once a day. And here's my nerd indicator. Now, by the way, just a note on this. I keep saying this, but when I got in about $5, $6, $7, $8, whatever, it was under 300 players. We're already up to 553. I think the market cap was it was approaching 6 million. Now we're at 9.5, so that's pretty exciting. It is climbing. It is gaining traction. People are hearing about it. I'm going to post this video up with some type of catchy title, hopefully, and we'll see if we can keep building this team. And then if you like it when you get in there, if you want to recommend it to anyone else, that's amazing. Use your referral link or give them your wallet address. They can enter that directly on the starting page. They don't need to use a link. They can just use the wallet address and paste it in. And, get ready for this team viewer coming soon. That'll make it easier for team leaders like myself to airdrop to the amazing people who have joined under me, because I do appreciate that. So, alrighty, I think we've taken enough time on here. Again, join the Telegram or ask in the YouTube comments any questions. Thank you for liking, subscribing, watching. I appreciate everyone who does that and who gives me feedback. I know this was a long video, but I pre-warned you for that. So, congratulations if you made it this long. You should get like a cookie or a cake or something. So, all right, you guys, stay safe out there, and I will see you on the next video. And watch out for those gas prices, man. Those are just rocketing here. At least I'm in Texas. I know California's got even higher ones, but man, it is a rough time to be driving around. So hopefully you're staying home and finding fun activities other than when you have to drive to work and so on. All right, thanks again, everyone. See you on the next one.